welcome to a new episode of ETRetail Café by ETRetail. We are here to make you look very good on a Monday morning. We have with us very nice chaps who are making each and every effort to make you look beautiful / handsome. So we have with us today Shantanu, who is the founder and CEO of Bombay Shaving Company and Bombay, and Deepak Gupta, who is the co-founder and COO of the company. My bad, sorry guys. So tell me, first of all, welcome to the show and how your journey started in the retail industry. I mean, how was your childhood? Were you very inclined towards being an entrepreneur always? Because you joined McKinsey also in between. So take us through the journey of your childhood and how it started all.
Yeah, I think when I was born, retail was not top of mind for me. But I think over a period of time, I was I come from a family where my parents, because of my dad's job, traveled around a lot. He was a part of TCS for many years in in his early career. So we spent time, like they were in Bombay before I was born. Then they moved to the US, multiple cities in the US. I was born in Dallas. We came to Pune in 96, 97 when I was in fourth or fifth standard. Um, Studied in Pune till 12th, then did my engineering from NIT Nagpur, business school from IIM Lucknow, then joined McKinsey. It was my first job. But I always loved marketing a lot. Like even my internship was at Nokia, which at that time was a very high quality marketing company, headed by all HUL, ex-HUL leaders. And I wanted to get into marketing. So a lot of my work at McKinsey, out of 5 years, maybe a year and a half or 2 years was in, consumer, retail, and just frankly was enamored by how people built brands, how I as a consumer used them. 2016 also was a time when a lot of, breakout brands were coming up all over the world. In India also we saw, for example, brands like Fog really like breaking large monopolies built through very simple storytelling but great retail strategy. So I felt like there's an opportunity to build out. The consumer is ready. The ecosystem, whether it was phones that were going into the hands of people, smartphones through Apple and Xiaomi and OnePlus and all these guys were putting phones. Jio and Airtel was putting internet. Amazon and Flipkart was putting e-commerce infrastructure. Google, Facebook, Amazon, AWS was putting D2C infrastructure. So in 3-4 years, from 2013 to 2016, all of that evolved very quickly, right? And I was 27, 28 at McKinsey, and I thought, why not take the plunge? So we had to choose the right market. We felt the male consumer at that time wanted better choices, was becoming a lot more discerning about personal care, beauty, looking good, joining gyms, buying nice clothes on Myntra, which was a very brand new, fresh thing. And, people were dating more. Women were dating more because they were studying longer, so marrying later. A lot of things that kind of combined into that. So, yeah, that's how we started out.
So how did Deepak came on board?
This is a very interesting story, right? So, maybe Deepak has a different version of this, but in fact, just yesterday,
I would love to listen to that version.
Yeah, he'll have a different view. So, two parallel things happened, right? So, one was that we were reaching a stage, maybe 30, 40 lakhs a month of business, which was, at that time, it seemed large. Now it seems, tiny, but at that time, it seemed like scale that I needed.
So that was the world when everyone used to talk GMV also.
GMV was much higher. 70 lakhs a month of GMV and sales of 40 lakhs a month, right? And I felt like we needed senior talent who we could learn from. So we, one of our board members, Revant, who's now the founder at Mosaic Wellness, at that time I asked him, do you know folks who are senior, who can come in and kind of take on CXO positions in the company, lead our revenue or our operations and business and so on. So he recommended one of his friends who was at Rebel, and I went and took him for dinner, and usual early stage startup courting discussion. And I was like, hey, he's like, dude, I will not be able to leave because I have a good thing going, and I have I'm committed to this company for the next 5 years at least. But I have a friend, and he's the guy who taught me all that I needed to know in business school. सबको पढ़ाता था business school में, और सबको pass कराता था, और खुद topper था, और बहुत सही है. And in fact, his company has just invested in you. So Colgate-Palmolive had just invested in us, and Deepak was his best friend. So he connected us, and then Deepak and I met, and we hit it off. So interestingly, it was maybe August, September of 2018 when we met for the first time, I think. And then Deepak joined us in January, and the Colgate investment had just happened then. So many people think that Colgate invested, and then one of their senior people came, but they were two totally independent events, and I joined on 19 Jan. It's just been an amazing journey.
So, Deepak, for you, how was your childhood? I mean, from a job background, then coming to the becoming a co-founder. I mean, was it a big plunge for you?
So coming to the childhood, so I am again born and brought up in a humble background. So we were like four brother and sister. I was the youngest. But I think our parents have worked really hard to kind of make sure that all of us kind of study well, and rest of the things we'll figure out. For me, I think studying was a way to kind of create escape velocity in terms of doing well in life for me and family per se. But my career was not planned. For me, like getting into a good government job after like 12th, was the normal dream. But like in 10th standard, I kind of did well in my board exam, got 90% plus. That time, like I was in the top 10 in the district, etc. Got a lot of scholarships, so got into non-medical, did my engineering from Peck Chandigarh, got placed in a large automobile company. But
At some
again,
point, you wanted to be a stenographer also. No?
yeah, that was a
As a child, you wanted to be a stenographer. Like, that's an interesting career choice.
that was a safe government job at that point of time. It was easy to get into if you kind of practice hard. So, and I think then life started unfolding. So then got my colleagues were preparing for MBA. I also started preparing. So in a couple of years, I did MBA. Got placed with Colgate Palmolive, which is one of the large FMCG company. Wanted to get into. Also kind of interned there and then got into. And then I think after a couple of years, got an opportunity to work in China, lead the sales operation for Colgate China. To me, and I think my family also moved. Our first daughter was born there. But I think just living in China and seeing how that country has evolved in last 20, 30 years was like eye-opening, because living in India, we always see China is very similar to us, right? But I think it's a very different world altogether. And entrepreneurship is at the core of it. Chinese are very good at re-engineering kind of, and a lot of agility in doing things. So, and I think that was the time when we had to come back. I just wanted to do something different, not being in a corporate setup, because living in China, realized that all of this will be disrupted over next 10, 20 years. And I was, while Shantanu was looking for someone to kind of get into the business, I was also looking to kind of get into or start on my own. And I think I was also talking to meeting few founders, and then our meeting happened as Shantanu described, and that's how journey with Bombay Shaving Company started in early 2019.
So, what were you enjoying? What are you enjoying? I mean, this phase or the earlier phase was better?
For sure, this phase. No, like we keep talking. A lot of my colleagues, mentors in Colgate also ask the same question. I think what I would have done there in maybe 20 years, I would have done this in 4 or 5 years. In early first 4 or 5 years itself, in terms of learning, doing things. Lot of mentors have become peers. Some of them are now also working with us, etc. So I think a lot of that has happened. So the learning curve got accelerated. And good thing about building a company is like you can always break and create things. Good to see a lot of raw talent joining us and kind of taking big responsibilities, which is always great to see. And third is, I think, just India being a country, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of create brands, products for Indians, consumers specifically, which give us a lot of joy. We believe that maybe we have completed 9.5 years, but this first 9.5 years was just to kind of learn as a team, as a company. Now, next decade is where we will actually start kind of scaling, spreading our tentacle as a business, and kind of become meaningful in consumer life at scale. So that's what we want to do.
So, Shantanu, I mean, when you have started the business, there must be some challenges you must have faced. What were those challenges?
Challenges we faced, we can do a 5-hour podcast on challenges faced by a startup. No, many challenges, yeah. So many. Like at a product level, just creating a good shaving product is damn hard. Like people don't recognize that you're literally taking a sharp knife to someone's face every morning with the trust and belief that they will use it and shave themselves and look better. But even if you make a small mistake, they can cut themselves, and quite dangerously so, right? So it's hard to make that. It's just hard. Our first razor took us so many times, so many iterations. We all had so many cuts on our faces trying that out. So at a product level, getting the product right, getting the pricing right, and then we had a extremely well entrenched competitor. Unlike any other startup where there was like maybe a cluttered market, like we spoke about fog. When Fog entered, kudos to them for changing the game. But frankly, there were 25 deodorants already in the market. You were the 26th, so you could find a way. We are entering a market where the market is one player. And everyone trusts that player. And there's zero word of mouth. So how do you tell a story? Who is your customer? Why would they buy you over someone that makes such good products, right? So challenges business में बहुत है. And वो अभी भी हैं, frankly. Like अभी भी है. We find ways to kind of create our own markets and do well. To get to the scale we are, but frankly, I think at a product and brand level, we still face more headwinds than the average D2C startup that you will see in the country. कोई भी आके कुछ molecule डाल के कुछ beauty brand बना, it will be easy to make it in this lab and build a 25 crore business, but to build it in this category is damn hard. Secondly, I think for us, one challenge that I found personally was always talent, right? Attracting good people, retaining good people. How do you structure? I don't know whether you saw our ESOP share price is on a board in our reception, but these are all things that came out of the need to. This is all the country where our venture ecosystem and our startup ecosystem is still new. Right? The ability to create equity, ability to create true market stature and thought leadership is not very apparent when someone joins a scrappy startup. And you have to make it come to life every day, all the time. You have to over communicate it. Sometimes people don't get it. So identifying, cultivating and retaining good talent always was a big challenge. And third is of course retail. Getting into the market, it's an omnichannel situation. Our category is a low engagement, unlike cars or beauty or electronics or audio or whatever. People don't like searching about razors and trimmers and waxing strips and hair removal sprays, and these are not high engagement stuff. So how do you make it fun and cool, and how do you make a brand that people genuinely look up to in a category which is boring? So ये तो अभी भी है. This is not scale की बात अलग है, but अभी भी यही problems है. So but good part is we are very innovative. So we find a way to find the right consumer. In that consumer, we're very sharp about how we communicate. In our products, we are very good about how do we differentiate. We are able to do aspirational storytelling, create value in the product and delight and experience very consistently now. It's a learning experience. You never negate the problem, but hopefully you kind of at least assuage them to a large extent. वो तो होते ही हैं at different
So,
levels.
I mean, he faced a lot of problems. He's still facing problems. What learnings did you get?
No, I'm not facing any problems. I pass them all to Deepak. The moment a problem comes, it becomes Deepak's problem very quickly.
So, how did you help him navigate those problems? I mean, what learnings did you get from the previous institutions or the companies you were working for? And how did you imply them over here?
I think there was obviously a lot of unlearning also that happened in last few years because like when I joined the company, I was looked at the most experienced guy, right? But I realized that but I realized that like just with the talent we had, and most of them didn't have any FMCG experience only, right? But there was a lot of passion and a lot of hustle to kind of just if they want to do something, they will get into it and find some jugaad and kind of make it happen. Like for me, I have to unlearn a lot of that, right? And actually learn otherwise from the people. But I think some of the things that I carried is one is just at certain scale you need to adopt processes, right? Because you can't continue to be scrappy and hustle oriented. It doesn't work. Second is how do we attract talent? I think which Chandu also mentioned. Because when you are getting experience work in the organization, they will have very different motivations, will bring a lot of their own set of working styles into the organization, and how do you kind of imbibe that into culture becomes important. And third is also kind of work frugally. While large organization at outside seem like big cash flows, large cash flows, etc., but the DNA on cost efficiency is very high. Like every large organization will have a parallel stream working on savings, efficiency. They kind of have very good working capital cycles in terms of negative cash flows, etc. Right? So a lot of those things is something very hard when you start a business to kind of get into, but over a period of time, I think those are the learnings that you start to kind of build into the organization as well. Which initial years nobody kind of bothers because you are still kind of figuring out how to acquire more consumers, get trials done, etc. But I think over a period of time, when you start building a meaningful business, those things become important, and that experience helped at that point of time.
Also, I had two things there. I think with Deepak, right? I think the fact that Deepak is someone who builds fantastic relationships, and he maintains them. It's not just abhi kaam hai to abhi ke liye.
I know that. I mean, we have been friends for like many years now.
Yeah. So a lot of his friends at Kolben, when I used to go to China with him, I've been there once or twice. where his friends from different corners of China would fly in just to meet him, for example, right? So he had that equity, personal equity, with a large number of people in a company which was so successful and happened to be an investor in us. So we were able to leverage that equity to bring our investor and us close together, much closer than, for example, we would have done without Deepak in the picture. That's one, right? I think Deepak played that role very importantly. Second is, I think, I remember pre-Deepak, we were always a very insecure and unsure company. And even though we had a slightly nice brand, some nice products and so on, we were unsure. But when Deepak came, first the fact that he chose to join us. Second is whenever he would enter a room, after that, the weight of his institutional backing almost always walked into the room with him. So a lot of the learning, which was very easy at Colgate and which he would have confidence in, and I'll give you some examples, would suddenly become part of meeting rooms very easily, right? So for example, in a finance review, at that time our fixed costs to revenue ratio used to be maybe 30-35%. Something. We were a small company, right? We said, yeah, at some point we have to bring this down to 10%. Apna growth aisa hona chahiye ki 10% of fixed cost of revenue should be fixed cost. And he had seen that happen in Colgate. He's a smart guy, like he's strategically very good. So it's also down to him. But the fact is, he had a lot of learnings which allowed us to have very clear milestones, whether they were financial, whether they were product and brand, whether they were distribution and retail, whether they were efficiency of the business, whatever, right? It gave us clarity on what we could aim for. And that was very important. And I had not worked in fact, I think you were the first person who came from a large FMCG to our company. And all of us, like none of the early team members ever had FMCG experience. So it was very important that we did that. And it's
So something which you were building passionately, he streamlined and give the direction to the same.
Direction, and also like more than direction, like milestones. Kahan ja sakte? The goal. See, the moving goalpost is very wide for an early company. Pata nahi kya karna hai. Kidhar bhi ja sakte hain. One small decision, suddenly you are going in that direction. Suddenly the goalpost is there. So to fix a goalpost and say, yaar, ye hai, and evolve it over a period of time, of course, as we launch more products, get into more categories, shut down businesses, all of that, right? But getting that goalpost right was very important, and it gave us a sense of quantitative mission orientation, which I think was missing.
So while talking to both of you, I realized one thing: talent is something which you both stress upon a lot, right? So while hiring the talent, which are the 3 qualities that you guys focus upon?
You want to take that? I'll tell you what for me, my answer is very simple, right? For us, we know that we are a consumer products company. We make great products for consumers to manage their hair, and we tell amazing stories about these products. That's what we do. Okay, so it's not a rocket science business. It's not an exceptionally difficult, high IP, high tech. It's not that. But it's a business that has to be done very well because the stakes are high. For us, across functions, right, we believe that we need 2 core intrinsics in a person across experience, whether it's a 21-year-old intern or a 60-year-old person who is retired and now looking for their next innings, which is a lot of people nowadays, right? We look for a large amount of enthusiasm and a large amount of common sense, like a sensible person who's very energetic. And on top of that, we layer a certain functional skill. So if you're applying for let's say a finance controller job, or if you're applying for a production or a packaging design job, you should have the skills and the experience before that to kind of. But these are the 2 intrinsics that, at least for me, we look for. And even as after the person joins, when they're growing in the organization, the ability and the initiative on these 2 things takes foremost priority. We feel like we've seen those people rise the quickest and be the most productive for the company.
Do you also look for the same?
Yeah, I think these 2 plus maybe I think most of the people coming from humble background who have seen certain struggles, I think generally thrive well in the organization, and also we are a very ownership driven company per se. So we generally look for people who are able to kind of work in an unstructured environment, figure out things, and then actually show direction to the company. Like and because frankly speaking, I think we all cap out in our ability to give directions beyond kind of setting vision, getting the right people, capital, etc. Right? So you need people who are smarter than you. So I think that start becoming important over a period of time. So that's something, people who are able to drive that ownership mandate, but able to also kind of give direction to the company in their sphere of work becomes important. Yeah.
So building the company one with passion, one with numbers, and one definitive strategy. The talent you guys are hiring is like top notch, and they should fit in the culture. But one thing I'm very sure it happens with every business. One life changing decision which you both had to take together to decided the different course for the company, and you guys actually chickened out. What? Like I mean, we have to take a decision now. It is like maybe good or bad. So what was that?
Which we chickened out, or which changed the course of the company?
Both ways.
Multiple. I think there's not one decision that you can kind of attribute it to. Maybe Deepak might have a different answer. But there were 3, 4 things. I think one is post-COVID, I think we realized that our consumers are changing, right? I think consumers are, like yesterday I was at an event in Meta. I don't know, I didn't tell you this. I don't know whether Vidit and Ashutosh have debriefed you. There were 150 people in the room, give or take, okay? And there were only 3 people who were clean shaven. Only 3 men who were clean shaven. There were like probably 30% women, 70% men. Everyone had, he's clean shaven, I don't know about this gentleman. He's got some kind of beard, right? But if you walk the office, everyone has some kind of beard. So we know that men are shaving lesser and lesser men are shaving from a frequency standpoint, right? So we know these 2 things. And in 2021, 22, we realized that people are going electric globally, right? The ability to like shear your beard or your body versus clean shave it, people are moving towards that if they could, because of skin, friendliness, ease, all of that, right? So we took a big call, and this is a call, frankly, I was not for. It was Deepak's initiative to say we should get into electric. I said we don't have the DNA for it, we don't have the supply chains for it, it's not an FMCG product, the pricing is too high, it's very import dependent, our margin structures won't work. There were 20 reasons to not do it, all of which came from me. But the passion and the ability to see the consumer trend was him. And that business is now almost half our business. And we have taken 6% market share, and we'll probably this year we'll end up at double-digit market share in that category, which is huge. So that was one big one. I think second big decision for us was recognizing that our consumers were moving offline, or our consumers sat offline, but were moving online, but towards quick commerce and D2C in certain ways. Only for certain kind of product. On D2C for trimmers, fragrances, kits, bundles, and to quick commerce, of course, because quick commerce was investing in building that channel, right? We recognize that if we were to allocate a limited amount of capital, time, people, and mind space to channel development and retail development, it is best that limited amount go to quick commerce and ride the wave as opposed to build something on your own offline. And we reallocated a lot of that. This is a second thing that we did around 2.5, 3 years back, which was not easy because it involved a lot of relationships. It involved a large team that was at stake from a relevance standpoint. It involved restructuring our senior team, etc. But these 2 decisions I think we took, which I think would have been hard to take at that time. And I think Deepak had a lot of conviction, so we just followed his belief.
I think to me, I would like to add, I think what Shantanu does barbershop with Shantanu. Because our categories are tough. That's why you don't see a lot of brands. Like we are technically number 2 urban shaving company brand in the country, because there's no number 3, right? But and we'll get to number 1 soon in certain lot of subcategories. But the important part was is to keep innovating. Micro innovations kind of we did across categories, and I think that became the DNA. So we have a term called OBCD, only BSC can do, is where kind of we challenges the team a lot on that. I think second is, well, generally we are very emotional people. I think when it comes to people, we are very emotional in taking hard calls. But when it comes to business decision, I think we have moved swiftly. Like everyone in their journey, we have taken certain calls which have not worked. But I think we were also quick to kind of kill them at the right time that helped the organization to thing. And coming back to barbershop with Shantanu, I think the content engine which has really helped brand to talk to entrepreneurial young Indian who, if you go with the normal marketing route of top funnel, TV, etc., is very expensive and hard to do. A lot of people have failed at this game, right? So this has kind of helped us kind of connect with the audience at a very different level. And when you make the product available on the shelf or quick commerce or marketplaces or on D2C, when they see the ad, they were able to kind of convert much faster than we would have been able to do. And I think, and that DNA is now flowing into the rest of the organization for both our brands, Bombay Shaving Company and Bombay, where I think team kind of really gets it. and that works to our advantage now. Our marketing to net sale have significantly come down over last 3 years.
If you walk into our office, you typically see some setup like this. कोई
Yeah.
कैमरा होगा, कोई उसके पीछे कुछ कर रहा होगा, कुछ रील बन रही होगी, कुछ पॉडकास्ट शूट कर रहा होगा. So the barber shop itself was a successful endeavor, but I think the distributaries of that barber shop into our brand, into our content teams has become a lot more. I'll also add a fourth one now that we're talking. I think it was not easy to launch a women's brand because we were a men's grooming company. We were always, kind of grouped with Gillette and Beardo and Man Company and Ustra and Bombay Shaving Company and all the Garnier men, like men brands, right? But in COVID, we realized that, we are actually good at hair removal. We are shaving, trimmers, whatever, we make good hair removal products. People like us for that. So launching a women's brand for a men's grooming company was not a natural decision or a natural extension, but launching the brand, realizing that BSc Women is a bad name, rebranding it to Bombay, getting in a leader like Siddha, who's just an outstanding thinker on product and brand from Bain and Company, staffing her team but letting her use the horizontal skills of sales, finance, HR, whatever of the company which we already built, not making the same mistakes BSc made, and now that business is almost 20% of our business and growing very fast and taking on salons and services, right? So I think that was again not a standard decision to take, but I think we did it. We stayed with it for 2 years. By the way, it's not been an easy ride to get to 70, 80 crores a year, right? But stay with it. And good people in large markets with the right intent will build fantastic value. That I believe. So we have just let them run. Now we are reaping the rewards, benefit from it.
So generally it is opposite for the brands. I mean, they are into the women's business first and then they venture into the men's business because everybody says the men's grooming industry is growing right now. It is the right time for that. But from men's to women, I mean, that was a flip.
Yeah. You're right. So we are a men's business and we felt like, hey, we have a right to win in women. We had in COVID when we had 40, 50 employees, of which like 15 were women. And so all the salons are shut. सबके बाल आ रहे हैं यहाँ वहाँ बंदियों के. बोल रहे कि हम रेजर कंपनी में काम करते हैं यार, इन बीएससी हमारे लिए कुछ है नहीं, तो मेंस की बनाते हो. क्यों बनाते हो मेंस का? बंदी को चाहिए रेजर. बोले उससे बाल कड़क आते हैं. बोले कुछ नहीं कड़क आते. Our employees, Niharika and Nimisha and some of the young ones, I still remember, they are not with us today, but I credit them for that discussion once and I said, that's a good point. I don't know whether you were there that day. Were you there? Like, let's make it. They said, sure. Then we went and found some manufacturer, kuch karke. Suddenly we go, what gets sparked through a basic conversation and a basic need can become a 100 crore business in 3 years. I saw it happen twice and now they're like, cool, now they want to launch many brands. So that's the thing, you do it once now, then suddenly people believe, and that's the first domino is always the smallest, but it's the most important one.
But Shantanu, don't you think once you do it, I mean, there's a lot of education for the consumers attached to it because you said the number 2 we are right now. So, I mean, it has been difficult for consumers to educate them, to tell them why it is important, why our product is better, how are we doing it different. I mean, so many ifs and buts attached to it.
Yeah, if it was easy, then everyone will do it, no? It's hard. That's why we are the only ones who do it, and that's why there is a pot of gold at the end of a longish rainbow. The issue is, I agree with you, the issue is that founders and teams have to be patient. And you have to know where to target. So our earlier targeting would be slightly older, right? With 28, 30, 32 year old. We realized, boss, that person's been shaving for 10 years. He's not changing his razor. He's happy with the razor. Yeah. But then the insight कि यार younger consumer ना जो पहली बार कर रहा है, उसको ना अपने पापा के से अलग कुछ चाहिए. I used to copy my dad fully. Our generation is a copy dad generation. This generation is an independent my identity generation. Like cool. 17 साल की उम्र में you want to do something different. Let's make something for you. अब 17 साल की उम्र में क्या है? Acne है, दाढ़ी है, अलग से soft skin. चलो, we'll make something more sensitive for you, softer on your skin. Okay, cool. अभी तुम 17 साल की उम्र में तुम तब तक क्या करते आ रहे हो? तो 14-15 साल की उम्र में तुमने ट्रिमर ले लिया 400-500 रुपए का क्योंकि तुम्हारी दाढ़ी मूंछ आती थी. Oh, cool, we'll get into that. So the ability to then target the consumer, then go into that consumer's life plus minus 3 years and then tell the story and then make the product for that person is a journey. And you have to, it won't happen overnight.
And this consumer is very finicky also.
It is not a finicky customer. The woman consumer is a finicky consumer. The male consumer is an underserved consumer. It's a consumer that's hungry for information. Trim कैसी करनी है दाढ़ी? यहाँ पे मेरे को कम ट्रिमिंग चाहिए और यहाँ पे मेरे को लंबी चाहिए ताकि मैं विराट कोहली की तरह लगूं और मेरी जॉ लाइन अच्छी दिखे. ये रिक्वायरमेंट है. अब इसको फुलफिल कोई करता ही नहीं है.
Traditional brands always have sold products more on a functional benefit, right? And in razors and like even on electric shavers, it has always been sold like an electronics product where people will talk about the general features in terms of runtime, charge time, etc. When someone buys our trimmer, there's a lot of handholding we do, like which trimmers to buy, how to use. Even after buying, like we continue to engage with the product because the consumer need 2-3 other products to get the best beard, etc. I think that's the
मैं तो
difference.
बाथरूम में हूँ, तुम्हारे सारे बाल गिर रहे हैं बेसिन में, अब उसको साफ कैसे करें? अरे 18 साल का बच्चा खड़ा हुआ है वहाँ पे, नो आइडिया, राइट? सो हाउ टू गो ऑन यूट्यूब, फिर वो दर्द हो रहा है, फिर बेसिन क्लॉग हो रहा है, फिर उसकी मम्मी उसको डांट रही है. So there's just a lot that happens in that world, right? So you have to tell them. You put a full YouTube videos out, you put like the whole packaging has a lot of instructions on it. It is a full journey. Men are not very vocal. They are also easy to please. So if you are able to get them to voice it, engage them and give them a good product, boss, their loyalty is unmatched. A male consumer who loves you is golden. He'll buy you for the rest of his life. That's what we know. So women are not like that. Women are disloyal because they will try 20 things, hard to please. फटाक से ट्राई कर लेंगे यार, ये फट क्विकली दिखाओ, बट दे विल बी वेरी हाई कि यही चाहिए, ये यूज ही नहीं करूंगी, 4 दोस्तों को बता देंगे कि ये खराब चीज है. तो बंदियों के लिए बनाना बहुत difficult.
No, I'm being a woman. I'm not that finicky.
No, but it's for good reason, right? I think it's an evolved consumer.
But that's why the women categories are far bigger also because of their ability to try new things. There has been a lot of options of innovation. In our case, just to make a 35-year-old try a new razor is damn hard. Like पहले तो बोलेंगे जरूरत क्या है, सही चल रहा है. Even like a 10 rupee razor will seem good to them, while they would have evolved and we actually joke. Like in India, Mukesh Ambani and someone kind of running a kirana shop both use the same razor.
So we're talking about the newish consumer. I'm very sure to please them, to make sure they stay with you for the longer period of time, your marketing strategies also must have been different.
Yes, earlier we used to do more traditional marketing. We had lesser budgets. At 30-40 crores a year business, you don't have a lot of, wriggle room कम रहता है उसमें. So you try to stay functional, you try to tell your stories. I think once we rebranded, Gauri, our chief marketing officer, joined us. Barbershop became big. Bombay started telling its own story. We suddenly realized that there is this ecosystem of, and also the ecosystem of content outside, right? Became very short form heavy, right? And I think we grew with that. And our ability to actually get our brand integrated into pop culture became very high. So whether it's podcasts, whether it's trends, whether it's influence collabs, whatever, right? We were suddenly like mainstream. And that's what has led to Bombay Shaving Company, especially, and even Bombay now, have almost cultural relevance, which is way beyond our product and our category, right? And that is what I think the challenge for Deepak and me today, frankly, is that will Bombay Shaving Company still be today? It's very cool for an 18-year-old. Like if one of us goes into a college or into something for a talk, people will come and take 20 selfies and all that. But will a 12-year-old who's now in 7th standard, when they become 18, will we still be cool? So we have to keep reinventing ourselves and staying relevant for our consumers because the consumer preferences are changing very quickly and we are getting older. That's not, no one is going to stop. So tomorrow when we are 45 or when we are 50, will we still be running a brand which is relevant to 16-year-old is the challenge.
But don't you think so? I mean, things evolve over time and preferences change, companies also evolve over time.
They should. We are not seeing that happen with large companies in India, right? Why do you think, name any brand from any
But no,
product.
Shantanu, I have a different point. You build a brand when technology is playing a major role.
It's not
right?
technology, it's a consumer thing. Generations are changing every year or two.
No, so you through maybe Instagram or maybe social media, you are able to connect with the consumer in a better way, which the age-old companies were not able to do at that point of time.
Correct. So,
At this point of time, yes. I think the question is after 10 years, because the world is changing so fast and we are all seeing this happening around us. Whether we'll and I think that the challenge we are posing right now is after 10 years from now, how do we continue to stay relevant? I think that's the thing.
Take hair oil for example. Name any hair oil brand which is big. Any coconut, any बताओ कोई coconut कोई hair oil बताओ आप कोई भी. Parachute. Do you think Parachute is relevant for a 17-year-old today?
No.
It's a large business. So 4-5 हजार करोड़ का brand होगा, वो 4 हजार करोड़ का होगा. One of the most successful brands built by one of the most elite entrepreneurs of India, Mr. Mariwala. But today will struggle, despite all its success, to be relevant to a 17-year-old. तो वो struggle करेंगे तो हम तो करेंगे ही ना 5 साल. That's the idea. That's the idea.
So
we have to be on top of
did
this.
technology help you in any way? Because technology,
for sure.
I mean, with AI coming into the play, I mean, it's improving things for everyone.
We're getting quicker. Technology don't help you the technology won't help you with ideation. Frankly, in my view, at least not till date, it will help you read data. It will help your people become a lot more productive. So जो चीज़ 2 दिन लगती थी अब वो 2 घंटे में हो सकती है. जो चीज़ 2 घंटे लगते थे वो 10 मिनट में हो रहा है. Right, so you're getting quicker and on iteration.
And your targeting will become sharper for sure.
Everything.
So that has changed. But the consumer preferences will keep evolving. And I think as a brand, the challenge is how do we continue to be relevant? We are not saying that we'll become irrelevant, but if we don't think about it, then the risk of becoming irrelevant is high. I think that's it.
If someone asks both of us what keeps us up at night, one is, I think a couple of years back it will be, what if we don't get profitable? Now that we are profitable, now the question is what if growth stalls because young consumers don't want us anymore? It's very likely. Technology is a classic example of this. The world of technology has seen companies like Orkut and MySpace become irrelevant in like 2 years, from top of the world to dead, right? So we should be very careful about it.
So what if technology takes your job someday? What will you do?
My job? I'll be very happy. I'll tell Deepak, bhai, ho gaya. Wow, technology is doing what I used to do. So all the best.
And what about you? What if it takes your job?
No. So I think there's a lot of debate about what technology can do. But if you look at the history last 100 years, every time there is a new technology that has come, it has made the world better. Obviously, there are some jobs which will become redundant, but there will be a lot of new that will get created. I think a lot of people are talking about AI. And in fact, we are also kind of seeing a lot of repetitive tasks, basic manual jobs which used to kind of someone kind of doing this repeatedly are now getting replaced because AI can do it very fast in seconds, right? But again, I think you need now people who are able to give sharp prompts, right? Someone who can understand data and kind of give those prompts, and then your job start getting replaced with sharper prompts and then taking decision basis that, right? But a lot of new things will evolve, and India as a country, we believe that we are just scratching the surface of that right now. So we are not worried at all. Now the question is how do we kind of play a bigger role in that, because next 20-30 years India will need a lot of that, and we want to play a bigger role on that. For example, manufacturing for us is something we want to do at scale, because I think that's where, and there's again a lot of chatter around how do we move really from just processing for someone or kind of putting things together to now actually start innovating at a component level, etc. is where I think there's a lot of opportunity. So we're very excited about future.
I feel like on the job market, you asked a very question which again can go into a very philosophically different space. But my view was like earlier you would start your career at 23, 24, retire at 60 and die at 70. Okay, so you had a 10-year retirement window, and then your siblings, your friends, life expectancy was 65 to 75. Right? Now you're dying at 90. Okay, but you might be forced retired at 40, 45. So you will suddenly have people who are to your question about taking jobs, you will have people who are redundant for 45 years. So they won't have the savings and they will have to live a longish life, where I think a lot of the upskilling is important. So it's not about AI taking jobs. It's about people living longer, getting irrelevant earlier. So how do they stay relevant for a longer period of time? And people are healthy till 75, 80 years now. So they should be productive for a long time. I was thinking the other day, अपने पास कैसे होता है ना कि if you take a person's wage, if you look at wages of a person from 22 till 60, let's say they have a career at Colgate or McKinsey, the wages increase till retirement, and then you have like a advisory and board seat and all of that stuff, right? If you have a good career. I think now the wages will rise till 35, 40 and then drop drastically. So you have to maximize your peak and then elongate your tail as much as possible because your wages will start reducing. And that is only if you're relevant. So I think that's how wage curves will probably be for the next 30 years.
The real wages.
That's what I think.
So people start to adapt technology and start changing their skills as per that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to survive.
Evolve and have low egos, yaar. Yeah. This is a world where egos will not survive. Like ego is the one thing that technology will break end to end. Ego, entitlement, a lot of middle management, senior management just kind of feel like they have earned their right because they've spent the years. They won't work anymore.
Shantanu, though I'm loving this conversation, but I have to wrap it up because we're running short on time. So my last question to you, where do you see the Bombay Shaving Company in Bombay going ahead? In next 5 years, is IPO on the cards?
We are a venture funded business. We don't have an option but to IPO because that's how our investors will make returns. And frankly, I think this is like, we have 50. So if you look at startup market cap in India, all startups market cap in India is roughly $100 billion out of $5 trillion public market cap, right? So only like what, 2% is startups. 50 more companies are going to IPO in the next, let's say, 1 to 1.5 years. You'll have large ones like Flipkart to Oyo to, Acco Insurance. You've seen Mamaearth in our space, etc. We believe that the IPO market, there is a good supply of companies like ours. There will be a good demand of investors also who want to kind of come in, domestic and international both. And with all, the government kind of helping us with Make in India and so on, I think it will be a fantastic time for this company to go public and also to build a brand. The fact that retail investors have access to owning a share in the company is a big deal. So for us, we would like to do it. We are, I think, a little subscale from an IPO standpoint at 400 crores in top line. We are there, but not we won't excite mutual fund CIOs to the extent we would like. So maybe a few more quarters, and I think that's what Deepak and I will kind of look at.
So before we wrap it up, I would love to have a
Sorry, I don't know. What you should add if you I don't know. May disagree.
Sorry, Deepak. I mean,
No, completely agree. I think next 3 to 5 years, I think that's where I think we just want to keep getting deeper. I think the path is clear. Now we need to kind of execute as a team, and IPO will happen as a milestone. Should happen as a milestone, being a consumer brand, only Indian brand in the space. We'll love to actually create value for even our current stakeholder as well as people who kind of become part of the journey, and be really proud of it.
I think IPOs in India, we have learned from our like Colgate Palmolive. What a beautiful story of value creation for shareholders, right? Didn't leave the country when all MNCs left. Yeah. Colgate stayed in India, had a listed entity in India, and has created so much value for its shareholders. One of the best run companies. Look at Marico we spoke about. Went public early and what crazy stock price, right? The ability to create value for your investors over decades is, I think, something that excites Deepak, me, and even the larger team. So, for sure, it will be a milestone. It will not be, but it will be a big milestone. We would love to do it.
Wonderful. So before we wrap it up, let's have the fireside chat now. Rapid fire now.
Rapid fire. Okay.
Yeah.
What is going on till now?
Yeah, I was like, no, what did I said wrong? So, my first question to you is one business book which you both have read. I mean, you are differently and you differently. And which book was that, and what have you learned from that?
Yeah, frankly, I don't read a lot. Okay, I don't read too many books. I consume content more from a browsing standpoint than reading. But one book that Deepak and I both read recently, which I found amazing, was Alok Sama's The Money Trap. I found it to be just a beautiful, kind of window into like how large-scale deals happen from a CXO in SoftBank. That how Masason operates, how his CEOs operate, how he does deals, how he negotiates. Like, it was a beautiful book. Alok is also a very good writer. So I read The Money Trap. I've also one book which I read 7-8 years back was The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz, and was again a beautiful first-hand account about his tryst with entrepreneurship and building a venture fund. So these two.
What about you?
I think Money Trap, yeah, we both kind of, it actually was referred by Shantanu only. But I think one book I kind of really, I think is also relevant to the modern time is Outlive, which talks about relevance of basically health span over lifespan a lot more, because we all know that given the medical science, we all will live longer, but what the quality of that is what we'll decide now. And I think just be conscious about it and working while we continue to run after material things in our material life. I think that becomes an important part, because ultimately what we have discussed, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, the quality of that will be defined if we are conscious of that. So I think that book is like the beautiful story in how we kind of should build towards it. Yeah.
One retailer or brand that you admire a lot, both of you, differently.
Retailer or brand? I think you should go first.
I think from brand perspective, globally, kind of, I really admire Nike. I think they've always reinvented themselves, stayed true to their purpose, and highly respectable brand, and obviously has inspired a lot of other brands to actually come and do that. I think from the retailer perspective, in India specifically, I think love what DMart has built. I think just they got the core inside, because I think that space, like, it's very easy to kind of get into retail from just entry point perspective, right? and a lot of people have tried it. But the real challenge is the margins are razor thin, right? But you still need to kind of have the assortment, give certain experience, and also kind of your ability to give the best value to the consumer. I think they have kind of able to manage this at scale for so many years, and still in the times when everything is becoming quick, I think they are continue to hold their fort and able to that value proposition has continued very strong for their consumers. So yeah, these two.
For me, I think Red Bull is the brand I love the most. I think almost a single SKU, $20 billion brand. And SKU is not like the product is like very normal, right? The ability to like tell stories and own football clubs and F1 teams and throw people from balloons 35 kilometers in the air to, aeroplanes going through tunnels and just the whole, when you see the Red Bull logo, you feel energy, right? So I think that's crazy. I don't think any brand has done it to that extent in terms of just association. And it's some, obscure village in Austria somewhere, some guy had some idea and just kind of built it. Amazing, right? Retailer in India, I think, um, I of course agree with DMart. I think it's a fantastic story of just ability to identify where the value sat from a real estate standpoint, what the consumer wanted, how that supply chain worked. I don't know, people don't give DMart enough credit they pay on time. Everyone thinks retailers are like,
They pay in less than 7 days.
7 days they pay. Never our team has to like follow up. Everyone else, all these new age companies, everyone have to follow up. These guys, 7th day after purchase order or after we have kind of delivered the stock, the money is in, right? So, DMart for sure. I think amongst the newer age ones, frankly, I think Blinkit is really, really, one of the companies that is really ahead of the curve. They're showing how e-commerce is supposed to be done. They're showing how category expansion happens. The team is just on point, right? So I mean, everyone else is doing well. Amazon, Flipkart created amazing equity. Instamart, Zepto are following. They're big partners for us. I think Blinkit has that extra edge a little bit for us.
If not building Bombay and Bombay Shaving Company, what you both would have been doing then?
Very good question. I'm actually someone who loves sport. I love sport. I love music. Many times I kind of feel like I'm actually, I'm someone who loves spending time on these things. People don't pay me enough for singing songs or playing football. But I think if financial productivity was not a question at hand, I would definitely spend more time in sports and music.
I think maybe I would have been in field of education. That's something I'm very passionate about. Just continue to kind of spend time with people, mentor them. Yeah.
So people know that you guys are running the show over here. Wait, what is your favorite pastime? What are you doing in free time?
Running podcasts. So free time.
I'm watching it.
I don't watch too much. For you? Free time, I love hanging out with my friends. I'm a very normal person, loves doing normal things, like going out for dinner. I love Gurgaon is lovely with new restaurants. Deepak and I had our biannual date at a really nice Japanese restaurant down the road. So love good restaurants, love playing with the dog, hanging out with friends, watching. So I love watching sports. Today, I don't know if any of your viewers are football fans. The Inter-Barca match happened last night. Crazy. It was just spectacular, right? So I love that. Normal stuff.
Any advice that you would like to give to the upcoming entrepreneurs?
I see a lot of, like I said, the more we started the barbershop with the view that more people should start up in this and that. But to be very honest, we are seeing a lot of average quality founders coming out now, right? So the one question I have is, if you are not allowed to tell anyone that you are a founder, will you still do it? तुम ना LinkedIn में डाल सकते हो, ना तुम अपने दोस्तों को बता सकते हो, ना तुम अपने परिवार को बता सकते हो, ना तुम अपने बम्बल टिंडर प्रोफाइल पर डाल सकते हो कि मैं फाउंडर हूँ. फिर अगर उसके बाद भी तुम अगर करो तो फिर तुम then we have some, that's a starting point. Don't do it to signal to the world that you are some cool guy, okay? Because the whole world is now just performing. सब लोग TikTok पे नाच ही रहे हैं founder बन के, right? So it's not the right way to do it, because then you end up having we do a lot of investing, we have a lot of bad habits. Focus on their salaries, focus on how much funding they're raising. When they're shutting down businesses, they are not communicating. It's semi-professional, stupid stuff, right? So my advice is that if you are going to be a founder for the sake of telling the world and having a quick buck, then please don't do it, because I don't think many of them realize how reputationally damaging it is to do this kind of nonsense. So do it for the right reasons. Do it when the time is right. Take some personal risk. I don't think people take any personal risk nowadays. And then you have no right to own the kind of equity you own. You have to take personal risk. So whatever money I had saved in McKinsey till that time, all of it had gone into the company and then some for like a period of a year before we raised our angel round and so on and so forth. And I was 27, 28, yaar. So करना पड़ता है वो. Like, and that's also still a very small risk because I came from a family of privilege and so on. But still I had to take it. I want to know, he's right. We look for humility and some kind of क्या बोलते उसको stress testing of a human being has to happen in life. So you're not going to become a founder with that kind of equity upside. Your stress testing happens through risk. So if you're not going to take that, then don't do it. It's best to not do it and waste your time and other people's time also. I'm very disappointed by a lot of the shit that's happening in this.
I think just to add, I think just be shameless about selling because that's most of the, and I think we have seen it, like people who are shameless, who follows up the max, get the best, right? So just be shameless, not when you're starting up, but just continues to do that. I think the world is there to help you, but sometimes we stop doing it. But the best entrepreneurs continues to do that.
Resilient, like just limitless resilience, just kind of at it. Like some really good founders who have come against all odds and built out something of value, right? So I think shameless selling is also something that people look down upon.
Yeah.
This salesman, नहीं यार, सब बेच रहे हैं, आप बेच रहे हो, मैं बेच रहा हूँ, ये बेच रहा हूँ.
Before we wrap it up, Shantanu, you said you sing, I really love singing. So can you sing 2 lines
No.
for us?
No chance.
Yeah, please,
No chance.
Shantanu.
No.
Just
It's
2
there on
lines.
Instagram, you can go check it out. No,
No,
chance.
promise we're not going to
No.
push only the song for sure.
No, I will sing for you separately, but not here. In this, no way. It's a very private thing. I won't do it.
Good. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you guys today.
I'm sorry I couldn't honor that, but I will be very, very off personality for you.
Good. No issues.
But I'm really glad you asked because, frankly, if there's someone who is talented, and I'm not, but if there is like my brother, my mom, etc., what I love about them is when they're sitting in a social circle and someone tells them कि तुम गाना गा के दिखाओ, मेरे को तुमका गाना बहुत पसंद है. बहुत लोग होते हैं जो टैलेंटेड होते हैं जो नखरा करते हैं कि नहीं मेरा ये दुख रहा है वो हो रहा है. They're very pricey about it. But my mom and my bro always honor if they have a cold, if it's late in the night, they're tired. कोई बोलता है गाना गा दो, गा देते हैं. So I love that people do that. I unfortunately don't have the talent that they do. Otherwise, I would have loved to honor your request.
No issues. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you guys over the show today.
Thank you.
And you guys, I hope, enjoyed the show and we'll see you again next week with new guests, new retailers, new stories. Till then, bye-bye.